Lovely.
I forgot, Ted, you're not backstage with me today. You can't see how long it takes for the video. You just missed the timing of it. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I am with Ted tonight. A lot of you know him as Ted. Ted, go ahead. Tell them about yourself. This is our first show.
Yeah, so you can find me at TedH6 on Twitter or TED Talks Ball on YouTube. And also all49ers.com for my articles, or on Twitter, it's at all49ersfn, Sports Illustrated.
Nice. Just got back from the long weekend of skiing. Did you get to watch the game at home, or were you still in Tahoe?
I was still in Tahoe when I watched the game, and I had a buddy actually reach out to me who was in town, and he came over and watched it with me, so that was fun. I had another group of folks that I thought I might get to go see, but it was a kind of miscommunication with people I thought were coming over. Some people didn't, but anyway, it turned out to be fun and stressful but fun. It was a good game.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be a blowout. I really did. I was up for. I was like 45-17 with the way this defense is playing in the second half. Lights out. I was waiting to see it, but I didn't get to see it. I mean, we talked. We didn't talk to me and you, but me and Wayne and Melissa were talking last week, and we were thinking it was going to be a blowout, but it was not, obviously. And it was a hard-fought game. The last play of the game will never make sense to me at all, but that's a whole other story. We'll save that for a little bit later. I didn't understand that last play. Did you?
No, it looked like something you'd see in a video game in Madden or something. I didn't really
I was thinking
understand.
Pee Wee football.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. It was pretty wild. But yeah, I mean, I did think it was going to be close. I predicted 24-20.
Oh,
So
you
I thought
did?
it was actually, yeah, I thought it was going to be even closer. Yeah, because I knew that Dallas had a really good defense, and especially a good run defense, and they have a lot of team speed. And in my article, my preview article, I said I thought Dak would be the X factor. You know, that if he played well, then they could win. And if he didn't, then we would probably win. And sure enough, he threw 2 interceptions, and and the third one that Dre Greenlaw probably wishes he had back, because it was right in the
That went right
breadbasket.
out of his hands. That would have
Yeah.
sealed the deal in the end zone, and that would have made it. That would have been the final capitalizer for sure. Um, uh, the catch. I mean, was that another catch for the ages there with the Kittle over the middle?
It was pretty epic. I mean, it was a little bit of a tough throw, and a great juggling, diving circus catch by Kittle. Amazing concentration, off his hands, off his helmet, off his hands again. And he finally caught it. I think it was also an indictment on Trayvon Diggs too. The Cowboys star cornerback. He could have laid Kittle out. He probably would have gotten a defenseless receiver call, and maybe that's why he didn't. But ultimately, it was a bad look for him, who's pretty well known for not liking to tackle. Um, I mean, even a Cowboys fan today I saw commenting on it saying, like, here's this guy coming off a full game of 66 defensive snaps and on a natural field and not one grass stain on his white jersey. And I was like, I tried to warn you before the game, because I've been arguing with him, telling him these things before the game. But
You're getting some smack talk. We're getting some smack talk already for next week, and we're not even there yet.
yeah,
We didn't even get to the end of the game yet. But Frankie James,
Frankie James.
he's the big Birds fan.
Hey, well, thanks for the good luck. Good luck to you guys too, Frankie. Let's hope that it's a good game and no injuries, and let's hope it's not the refs who decide it through calls or non-calls. That's sort of what I said with Cowboys fans last week.
Was
But I have
that?
seen some,
Go
I've
ahead.
seen some Eagles fans saying that, like, oh, we don't belong, and that they're going to destroy us or blow us out or anything. And I just think that's pretty much crazy talk. I think these are the 2 best teams in the NFC, and both teams deserve to be there. Like I said last week, if we lost to the Cowboys, no shame if we lose them. They're a good team, and I would say the Eagles are an even better team than the Cowboys overall. one thing I would say is that football is a game of matchups, and the Eagles may not match up as well against us as the Cowboys did. I feel like they have some deficiencies, especially their run defense leaves a little to be desired. But we'll see. Well, the Eagles, the rest have been awful all around. No way a blowout, one possession game should be the matchup. Yeah, no, I mean, I think the Niners will win, but shoot, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't. That's for sure. I mean, the Eagles, they have, they have some things that give us trouble. Mobile quarterbacks tend to give us trouble. Really good offensive lines give us trouble. Really good wide receivers can give us trouble, especially if they have two. They have AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, and then Dallas Goedert is a heck of a tight end. I saw some Eagles fans saying he's better than Kittle today. Well, I think there was some big Eagle guy who said that Goddard was the best, tight end in the NFC Championship game.
You're always going to say that about your tight end on your team, though, right?
I guess. I mean, Goddard's a hell of a tight end. I mean, I think, he blocks really well and he catches really well. I just think Kittle's the best blocker, and I think people, when they say that Kelsey's a better receiver, I think they're forgetting that Kelsey has Mahomes feeding him in an Andy Reid system that's pass happy. I think we started to see it with Purdy a little bit, where Kittle had 7 TDs in 6 games with Purdy, and that's more TDs than he had in a 16 game or 17 game season before in like 4 or 5 seasons. He had 6 was the max, and then 5 a couple times. So in 6 games with Purdy, he had 7 TDs. So that's huge. We're starting to sort of see what Kittle can do. And honestly, I still don't think we're seeing everything Kittle can do because Purdy doesn't have the very big arm. And he's not real tall. I still think Trey Lance could do more with Kittle and Ayuk than what Purdy's doing. But I don't want to talk too much about Trey Lance until the offseason, until he can actually play. But people saying trade him, I think are out of their minds.
Yeah, well, and Frankie said Kittle is better than Dallas, so.
Yeah, Frankie's realistic. There's realistic fans out there. I appreciate that. I mean, I try not to be a homer myself. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you every position's better on the Niners because it's not. I think Jalen Hurts, I think, is a better QB than Purdy. I think their O-line's better. I think AJ Brown has played better than any of our wide receivers this year. I think Debo can be in that conversation. I mean, like if you look at Debo's 2021 and AJ Brown's 2022, I think we're looking pretty comparable, maybe even a little better because of all the running yards and TDs that Debo had in 2021. But AJ Brown's definitely the best receiver this year out of these two teams. And Devonta Smith, you could say, is probably the second best. So I think that's an advantage for them. But I did see that Eagles struggle against third wide receivers, or anyone besides the top 2. So that could open things up for Jawan Jennings, who's been real good lately.
Maybe he'll emerge like Gabe Davis did in the AFC Championship game last year, where he had 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then, I saw that the Eagles struggle against running backs, receiving running backs, and who's the best receiving running back? CMC. And then even like they're supposedly number 6 against tight ends, and I'm like, okay, that's great, and I'm not going to dispute that stat. I will say though, if that's the average against average tight ends, like how average is Kittle, right? I mean, I think he's going to do a lot better than the number 6 against tight end defense. So it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. But there's a lot of things that the Eagles obviously have a great defensive line, at least from a pass rush perspective. I mean, they led the league in sacks. They have really great corners with Darius Slay and Bradbury, maybe the best corner tandem in the league. CJ Gardner-Johnson's been playing really well this year. I think he had 6 interceptions at one point. Maybe he still does, but he was leading the league in interceptions at one point. And I guess the big question mark is going to be, will Avonte Maddox be back? Because I thought he was out, but it sounds like there's a chance that he might play. That could be a real X factor for the Eagles, in my opinion. But, their linebackers are nothing great as far as I'm aware of, other than as pass rushers, Brandon Graham and I'm blanking on their other outside linebacker. But, Yeah, they got a really good team. I mean, if you look at, there was a stat that if you look on my timeline, I was tweeting a graphic that basically it's like, we're the number 1D, they're the number 2D. We're like number one, or what were we? I'd have to bring it up. But bottom line is these teams are very, very evenly matched. And you just look at Vegas, right? I mean, they're 2.5-point favorites at home, or typically even teams, you're going to get a 3-point spread for the home team automatically. So they're saying they think that the Niners are just slightly better team, but that playing at the link gives the Eagles a little bit of an advantage potentially.
So you've already done all your homework for next week.
I've done a lot. Yeah. I mean, I had a show this morning, and I've been lining up a lot of Eagles fans, and I've been doing a lot of arguing on the timeline. There was some kind of interesting arguments that I've seen about the Eagles' run defense not being as bad as like the 22 DVOA that shows up statistically. One was that like the Eagles get way up and they play these sort of like prevent defenses to keep teams from getting big passes against them, and that makes it easy to run. And the other one was that Jordan Davis, their rookie stud defensive tackle, was out, and for a while he was out, and then they hadn't signed Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph, who are aging but still, solid rotational defensive tackles. So there's a good chance that the Eagles' run D is a little bit better than it looks on paper, or quite a bit better than it looks on paper.
Well, since we've already moved on and we've already forgot to cover the whole game.
No, we can back up. I mean, that's the beauty of these things. It's
so what happens if Jimmy is ready? Is he the backup? Total backup? They're not going to make this a controversy week, are they?
Absolutely not. Yeah, no, he's the backup at best. Yeah. And even then, I think you'd want to see him practice for a full week. So unless he was out there today, I didn't really check. Or did we even have practice today? I don't know. We probably practiced Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and fly out there Saturday, I would imagine. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But no, I mean, yeah, there's no way you put Jimmy back in as a starter, especially not, ice cold. When Brock Purdy's 8-0, when we're scoring more than we did with Jimmy G. I think Jimmy G's average for the season was like 23, but that's not really fair because he didn't have CMC for most of the season, of Jimmy's season, that is. So with CMC, I think we were scoring like 28 with Jimmy, or 27. But with Purdy, it's like 33, 34 points a game. I mean, basically it was like, until before the Cowboys, it was 35 points in every game, except for the Seahawks in Seattle, where we scored 21. And still we won by 8. So I don't see how you could possibly bring Jimmy G back, especially with how he's been in the playoffs. He's not a very good playoff QB, and his fourth quarter of playoff games is like some of the worst ever. Whereas Brock Purdy, he's pretty clutch. He's done really well, at least well enough to not mess it up.
So have you jumped on the bandwagon enough to get a jersey?
No, I mean, I'm wearing my Steve Young jersey. I've had some jerseys since, and then people have left or things went awry or whatever. So I'm sticking to the kind of the wait till they're done before I pick up a new jersey. Till then, I'm rocking Steve Young. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. It's tempting, I will say, but last thing I want to do is do that and then have him leave or get injured or whatever. I'm superstitious. And so since it went astray one time, I think I'll probably keep away. But I mean, I can see why people would buy it. He's a hell of a story. And I mean, it's to the point now where he's a hell of a story for a 7th round, third string rookie QB. But now it's getting to the point where he's a hell of a story just for any QB even a playoff QB, because right now he it has the second most passing yards in the playoffs. It was like Josh Allen number 1, Purdy was number 2, Dak was number 3, and I forget who was number 4. Might have been Danny Dimes, and then oddly enough, Joe Burrow was 5th in passing yards, down way below. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Not that passing yards are everything, but it's just interesting for people who say that he only dinks and dunks, or what have you. And there's no doubt that he gets carried a little bit. I've been saying for most of the season since we got Christian McCaffrey that we have the best weapons in football, and Kyle is one of the best coaches. So any quarterback is going to look better here than almost anywhere else, most likely. But the fact that he looks better than Jimmy G, who's a 8-year vet and a 5-year starter with this team, that speaks volumes.
I wouldn't make the switch at all. That's just me, though.
Absolutely not. No.
So we can go back to the game if you want, or we can move on to the next.
Absolutely.
What do you want to
do? Yeah, that's whatever you feel like.
I had someone buckled my StreamYard, and I'm pissed. I know. I set this all up yesterday, Ted, and I don't know where it went. I had Final Play caught up on one of the overlays, and I don't know where it went.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about the game, there's the big things in the game were basically there was the Lenore pick, right? There was the Jimmy Ward tip that turned into a Fred Warner pick. There was the big there was the big pass from Dak to CeeDee Lamb, and then he tried to go back to CeeDee over the middle, and Fred Warner had the really nice PBU down the middle, pass breakup.
You mean this was the crazy play at the end?
Yeah, that was wild.
I don't know. Why would you run your best? Why would you have one of your best players not be able to catch the ball on a pass? I didn't understand that either.
Oh, it made no sense at all. Why would you have the lineman out wide where you would want somebody
at least run the bubble screen where they can block?
I mean, I guess it's just to get somebody behind them, I guess, have them block downfield. But the linemen aren't going to be good out there in space. I think you'd be better off with tight ends out there in space than offensive linemen who are going to be so slow. It was a head scratcher for sure. 2 years in a row, they did silly things on the last play of the game. I didn't mind because obviously Mitchell had failed to stay in bounds, or else it would have been already over.
Slide a million times.
Yeah,
something you're taught like in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not middle school, but you know what I mean. That is just stay in bounds. Make them burn their timeouts.
Now, yeah, my buddy was saying, well, why didn't the QB say something to him? And I'm like, well, the QB is a rookie. He doesn't necessarily have a lot of experience in that situation. But, I mean, it's something that Kyle should have whispered in Brock's ear through the mic. So, yeah, it was definitely a little bit of a miscommunication there for sure.
I was surprised we didn't see the bowling ball in there at that point in time. Mason.
Oh, I don't think we're going to see him here. I mean, I think it's pretty much come down to CMC and Mitchell, although they're both dinged up.
I think Mason's a great, bold, he reminds me of Mike Allstar a little bit, just by the way he runs over players.
I've heard some interesting comps for Jordan Mason. Some people have said beast mode, but, beast mode was bigger and more physical for sure. But Marion Barber was another one that I saw thrown out there. The old Dallas Cowboys running back who ran pretty hard. Too. Yeah, no doubt about it. I just think it comes down to, Mitchell's probably a little bit better of a runner than Mason. And even if they're comparable, or even if you think Mason's a little bit better, the fact that Mitchell just never fumbles. I'll knock on wood for that one. But I think that's a big thing too. I think just Kyle is just going to ride with the guys he trusts with everything on the line. And, in the playoff, I mean, we might see, if there's garbage time, we might see Mason, but I just really don't think there'll be garbage time against the Eagles or in the Super Bowl. So
that's weird. We were talking about that last time I was on the Niner channel. We were talking about we need to run the ball at Parsons and tire that man out.
Yeah, or do what the Eagles did and make him play in space, kind of take advantage of him the same way the Chiefs did with Bosa, take advantage of his aggressiveness and throw screens behind him when he comes rushing in. But that whole Dallas D line is fast and aggressive. I mean, they got DeMarcus Lawrence, they've got Iggy Ziggy Ogubagaba, something like that. I forget what his name is, but they've got.
I know the NFL really wants Andy Reid to face his old team.
The Eagles
brothers to be matched up against each other, obviously.
Yeah. So how bad do you think they want it? Do you think we're going to get jobbed by the refs? Is that
Vinovich didn't call a bad game. It actually favored the Niners a little bit more than ever. That was the first one with Vinovich at the helm.
Yeah.
We're now 1-4 against this guy, and that's a horrible stat to look at as a ref.
Yeah. I was concerned about it going into the game for sure, knowing that
it was a heavy copycat.
Super Bowl 54. Yeah.
Even Roger Goodell was sitting with Jerry Jones for a little bit. I thought it was really nice what they did for the Clark family, giving them free tickets to the Super Bowl with the passing. That was before the game when Jerry Rice was there. And did you see all that?
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah, they gave the Clark family free tickets to the Super Bowl with the passing.
That's nice.
So whether or not it's a booth or not, I'm not real sure. I didn't see where they were sitting. They just said they were going.
Yeah, well, still, that's nice.
Hopefully they get to cheer on the Niners for sure. I'm rooting for them. I don't want Philadelphia to win.
No, absolutely not. No, I mean, but they could, and like I said, it'd be no shame if they did. They're a great team. They've got weapons. They've got a solid QB who doesn't make a lot of mistakes. I mean, expecting Jalen Hurts to throw 2 interceptions is, when he's only thrown 6 all season, it's probably unrealistic.
So would the biggest call for the Empire be calling for Shanahan's head because he made the NFC Championship game?
No, not with the third string rookie QB. No, I mean, I think Kyle is safe for a while. I mean,
I would think so, but when you guys, when we were we were horrible in the beginning of the season, everyone was calling for his hot seat.
I mean, not me, but yeah, I saw
I didn't
people
call for it. I mean, I live right outside Pittsburgh, so 9-8 season's a winning season in Pittsburgh anymore.
That's true. No, I mean,
she wouldn't go out when I got home, so
now she's ready.
Yeah, and I'm like, no. I'm on a show, and she knows it. And whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, they can tell when you're trying to concentrate.
Oh yeah, and she's been here all day by herself, so it is what it is right now. And there's nothing I can do about it. But So would you go down to Glendale at all if they go to see any?
I wouldn't. I don't have that kind of money to go. Someday, if I'm ever able to cover the team, maybe that might be a way to do it. But
right. I didn't know if you go down for the festivities or whatever, a couple days in advance, whatever, and hang out.
No. I'm free to do my thing during work hours when we have childcare. But then as soon as that's up, I'm on daddy duty. It's rare for me to get on a show after 5.
I'm very excited, believe me.
I just lobbied my wife. I just said, "Hey, hon, what are you doing?" And she said she was going to go grocery shopping. I said, "Hey, can you wait half an hour?" I got someone who's been wanting to get me on for a while, and so yeah, the knock could come at any time though. So just beware, folks.
Right. And then we're going.
I may have to make a hasty exit.
Call the show right then and there. Wife always wins, buddy.
No doubt about it.
What's that great expression? Happy wife, happy life.
That's exactly right. 100%.
Now, does she podcast with you at all? Has she ever gone on one?
She hasn't yet. No, I mean she's come in the audience before, a couple times.
Like in YouTube, and left comments.
Yeah, I don't think she's left
Like, get
comments in
your ass
YouTube.
off.
No,
It's
just
time for you to quit.
no. She was nice. She came in and interacted with the audience, so that was good. But no, she hasn't come on camera yet. But I'm sure at some point she might do it.
I wasn't sure. You know,
Maybe once I
do this as a
monetize or
living.
something like that. I don't know. We'll see. So other things about the game. Obviously, Purdy didn't throw any interceptions. That was great. Um,
When did McCaffrey
Jennings
hurt his calf?
He hurt his calf. He has a contusion on his calf.
Oh, geez.
They showed it during the game. He was wearing like a heat and
the
stim.
heat pad thing.
Yeah, on his calf.
That was early in the game, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he was stretching it too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was doing that little there was that little arch thing on the sideline, and he had his foot on it, and he was.
Yeah, exactly right. So that's one of the concerns. They said that
I thought they said it was cramping up, and that's why he had it on.
They said that Mitchell had a minorly strained groin, and he's day to day. So it sounds like Mitchell and McCaffrey will play. And then the Amenahu injury was revealed that he had a abdominal pulled muscle in his ab, but not like torn, but just like a minor pull. It sounded like he was day to day, but now maybe the bigger concern than Amenahu's injury is that he got arrested last night for domestic violence. So
that's what I just saw.
Yeah.
So, I thought that was old news because it looks confusing at first. Like it says Eagles news, 49ers lineman arrested after domestic incident. NFC Championship game tickets sell out in minutes. And I was like, was that last year or? But no.
Yeah. So apparently, the police were called. Apparently there were no witnesses, and the person and I don't think charges have been filed yet. But the person who called the police, the domestic partner, I guess, didn't go get a medical examination either. So it sounds like maybe it might not be a big deal. I don't know. You just never know with these things. I don't want to make an assumption or it's always a very serious thing when anyone has a domestic violence charge against them. But it sounds like in this case, I don't know. I saw a document. Somebody posted a picture where it basically was saying these things that, well, I think somebody who posted it said there were no witnesses. So that part I'm not sure. But ultimately, if that is the case, I guess there's a chance he still might play. I don't know. I just hope that no one was hurt. And, I hope that if it was exaggerated or, maybe who knows what might have been involved. But ultimately, I hope that those two work it out, and I hope he can play.
I mean, he says he was arrested. He's out on bail now. He is home, but his status is unclear. That's what I just saw. But, I mean, that's going to be a coach's decision. It's going to be what happened. And then, essentially, it's going to come down to the NFL real quick, too, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on how quick
let me see what I had. I had it in one of my chat groups.
It was on The Athletic, so I only got to look at it for a minute.
So this says San Francisco, Charles Amenahu was arrested on charge of misdemeanor domestic violence following an alleged incident with his girlfriend on Monday, according to the San Jose Police Department. According to the arrest report, the victim alleged Amenahu pushed her to the ground during an argument. Officers said that they did not observe any visible physical injuries, but she did complain of pain in her arm. The victim declined medical attention at the scene. So ultimately, she could have gone to see a doctor later. We don't know. We don't know that. But ultimately, it sounds like no witnesses and at least no initial medical examination. So those are encouraging sounding things. But like I said, I think obviously we'll find out more this week.
I mean, unfortunately, these are big dudes.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, and they usually date little girls, little women, a lot smaller than them. And so a simple grab, like, might not even be like a hard, might just be like a light squeeze, and that's all it could be.
Yeah. No, it's all it would take. 100%. So
But I'm not
fingers
getting into
crossed, hoping for
domestic
the best
abuse
for
and all
both of
that
them.
because I don't know enough about it to make a decision. But just
No,
saying,
me
when
neither.
you're when the dude's 10 times bigger than someone, it don't take much for them to crush a like an empty bottle as it does for me or you.
That's exactly right.
So I mean, it could be anything. Well, I'm
Yep.
hoping he does play on Sunday, of course.
Yeah, no, he's, I mean, arguably our second or third best pass rusher after Bosa, him and Ebicom. I think Ebicom's maybe a little better against the run. And honestly, I think Omenahu might be our second best pass rusher. So, yeah, I mean, we definitely need him. And he plays the run well. Drake Jackson's a good pass rusher, but he's a liability in the run fit. And so that's why he's been inactive the last few games. So, I hope we don't have to rely on him. I hope he's active though, so that if we do need him, he can step in. Unlike in the Cowboys game where we saw Menahu go out pretty early in the game, it's like, oh great, Drake Jackson's inactive, so we can't even use him if we need him.
Right. The Eagles didn't have any injuries.
Honestly, I think I saw somebody say that AJ Brown had a. I think somebody said that AJ Brown had a hip injury. In one of the arguments I was in today. I didn't take time to
Are you
go
picking
and.
fights? I love it.
Oh yeah, I am always out there picking fights on the timeline, and then saving receipts for after the game. No, I had a guy today telling me 34-17 Eagles, saying that we didn't deserve to be there, that that we played a weaker schedule when like we have the 32nd schedule and they have the 31st. Like, oh yeah, that's a huge difference. Sure, okay, they're both weak,
Well, it says rest.
for AJ Brown.
Yeah.
Okay, well then that's not an injury. Yeah.
No, it looks like the whole team's on rest, except for Linval Joseph and Johnson Lynn and
Lane
Avante
Johnson.
Maddox.
Yeah. What is Avante Maddox? Is he limited?
It says toe.
Toe. Okay. Yeah, he had turf toe, and so I guess there's some talk that he might actually play. That would be a big one for them.
But today
And then
was the
obviously
first full day of practice, right?
today, yeah, I mean, I assume so. I didn't see any reports from either team today on that. Probably because I was busy arguing. Let me see. I'll take a quick look.
Now, do you bring some of them on your show? Do you ask them if they want to come on?
Not usually folks from the timeline. I've done it from Spaces because I want to make sure that they speak well and that they're not cursing all the time. And
I saw it. You were on the Spaces today, I believe, right?
yeah,
I saw that.
I was on
I
for a
didn't
little
get a
bit.
chance to see it, but I saw
I was
it.
listening in on Facts and Stats, and they were talking about Dallas Goddard and Kittle and Kelsey, and I was just saying basically you can't hold Kittle accountable for being in a run first offense with bad QBs when Kelsey has Mahomes and Andy Reid who likes to throw it all the time. So yeah, no, I was in there a little bit. Usually I just listen more in Spaces though, because I find people in Spaces tend to be a little less reasonable and measured and balanced than on the shows.
I've never done one. I've listened to a couple here and there, but I've never actually sat down and said, "Hey, I'm going to do a space today." I've never actually done one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're fun and they're interesting. You can learn, just one more way to learn things. But sometimes it's just a bunch of people yelling, and screaming at each
Doesn't the
other
host
and
control the speaker button and all that?
calling each other names. Yeah, but I think sometimes they like it. They like the drama. So
Without drama, there's no news.
that's
When
true.
there's peace, there's no news.
No doubt about it. And I forgot what I was looking at. Oh, I was going to look for a practice report. I don't think the Niners did practice today, just to be honest. I didn't see anything pop up.
I was gonna say, you're on top of everything, and you have time. Now you work from home, Ted.
Yes, I do.
That must be nice.
It is indeed. All right. Yeah. No. I didn't see anything for us, so I imagine they probably didn't practice either. Although they did play a day earlier than us, so they might have. I just don't know who I would search.
Now, do you find it weird that they don't play both divisions on the same day, so both teams are fairly rested the same?
I mean, it really helped us last week, with the Cowboys. I said in my preview article, like, all things equal, if Dak had played a little bit better, maybe, that the deciding factor might have been the Cowboys playing 4 straight road games, and then they had 2 less days of rest than us. And in those 2 less days of rest, that 2-day shorter week, they traveled twice too. They traveled from Tampa to Dallas and then from Dallas to Santa Clara. So I said that I thought it would show up in the fourth quarter, and sure enough, that's when they really pulled away. Was late third and fourth quarter. So
it showed up.
It did.
Dak 8 games in a row, 8 picks.
Yeah,
well, 9 if you count the 2 he threw. But
no, it's crazy. He had more picks in 12 games than any other QB had in 17 games. So yeah. He was a pick machine, a turnover machine, if you will. Not against the Bucs, which scared me, but I think the Bucs' hearts just weren't in it. They have a good enough defense; they should have been able to force a turnover from him. But I think they knew they weren't going anywhere.
Do you think that was their way of saying Brady's done?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think you could see it even before they played the Cowboys in the wild card round. Gronk came back and said, "Hey, I want to come back," and they said no. I mean, so if you're serious about winning, you don't turn Gronk away. I don't think.
No, especially
if
with the
you
way
have a chance
working out, looking at these FanDuel commercials.
Yeah,
kicking that extra point or whatever he's got to do, and someone's going to win a lot of money on it. And then he shows him running up and down the steps with that big boulder, and he looks jacked.
Yeah, no, he's a big dude, no doubt about it, and a great red zone threat, if nothing else. And he's a good blocker for a tight end. He's always been a really good blocker. So, yeah, Gronk.
I thought he would have retired when Brady did, just so they went in together.
Yeah, I was surprised that he retired this year. Re-retired, I guess I should say.
I think he's going to be one of those first ballots.
He should be.
As much as I am not a New England fan at all, but
Of course.
You can't take away what that man did.
As I say, you can still be objective. You can still respect him even if you don't like him, right? So
I just don't like New England. I don't like the players. I just don't like New England.
Yeah. No.
So I mean, I like Brady a lot more that he went to Tampa.
Sure. Yeah, me too.
I mean,
I don't have anything.
He accomplished 7 Super Bowls as a quarterback. That's an amazing feat, regardless of what people are going to say he did prior, whether it was Deflategate or whatever scandal you want to throw out there, because he's pretty much been involved in all of them. But none of them have been proven, I guess. And you're not going to take a trophy away from a team.
No.
You can take individual titles. I mean, Reggie Bush lost the Heisman.
Yeah,
but USC didn't lose the national championship.
Well, they did. They lost it. They lost it to Vince Young. So, or did they win the year before that? I forget. Feels like they might have. I don't know. I feel like they didn't win the Natty. They came close, and they lost to Texas.
Was that the Vince Young year?
Yeah, and at the Rose Bowl.
At home.
Yeah. Well, not quite. The Coliseum's home. The Rose Bowl. That's UCLA's home. But yeah, I mean, it's in LA. I mean,
it's like what, 20 minutes?
Yeah, well, with no traffic. When's
Right,
that?
right, with no traffic. Right. I've never been to California.
Oh my god.
I've been to Oregon and Portland, but I've never been into California.
Portland's a cool town.
I'd like to
California
visit
is a
one
lot
day.
different.
I'd
You
like to
know,
see what
it's
it's
just
all
very
about.
crowded here. There's a lot of traffic in the Bay Area and a lot more in LA. So
Is there shortcuts or no?
in LA, there are, yeah, you can take surface streets definitely if you know where you're going for sure. That's like there's like I don't know if you ever watched Curb Your Enthusiasm, but there's this whole episode about some secret shortcut to the valley, and then Larry tells someone, and he's like, "But you can't tell anybody," and of course they tell everyone. So everyone tells someone, and the next time, all of a sudden, he's in bumper to bumper traffic on the shortcut because he told one
Like
person.
shit.
Yeah, should never have told anyone.
Right.
So yeah,
So Ted, are you
but yeah,
traveling? Are you traveling? Do you go out and see other stadiums, or have you only been to Levi and maybe Candlestick?
Levi's, Candlestick, Oakland Coliseum, Stanford, Cal. I went to a USC game at the Coliseum.
Did you get to see Aaron
Um,
Rodgers and Cal?
I did not get to see Aaron Rodgers. No, I went way before. This is like John Elway, and
Oh,
way back
okay.
when.
I
Yeah,
know we're older. I know, I get it. But I wasn't
yeah.
sure. You're like, hey, man, we got this
No, no,
kid Aaron
no.
Rodgers
It was
down
a
there
long
right
time
now.
ago. Yeah, my dad went to Stanford, and so I went to a lot of games at Stanford. I got to see them get throttled by Oklahoma, USC, UCLA. I mean, pretty much everybody beat up on Stanford back then. Even when they had Elway, who was really good, Stanford was never any good.
So your dad and CMC got something in common.
Yeah, exactly.
That could
I
be your
mean,
in, buddy.
Stanford was good,
That
but
could
I
be
was
your
too
in
young
top
when
man.
Plunkett won the Rose Bowl. I think it was 70 or 71. So I was just like barely born right around then. So I wasn't a football fan until I was about 5 or 6.
I was born a week before the Steelers played in Miami and beat the Cowboys, I believe, in '79.
I was rooting for the Cowboys in that. My dad's from Dallas, and
And my
so like when
grandpa
I
never
start,
forgave. And I always told him he should have went.
yeah, I started being a Niners fan in '76, but like the Niners were dog meat. They were like they didn't make the playoffs 76, 7, 8, 9, 80. So like when the Niners were out, my dad would watch the Cowboys, and so I rooted for the Cowboys. Yeah, when they beat the Broncos, when they lost to the Steelers, you bet. Yeah, for sure.
That's okay. I grew up a Dan Marino fan.
I
So
mean,
when actually,
I did it with the Warriors too. They were never in the playoffs forever, so I rooted for the Lakers. I rooted for, Michael Jordan. Yeah, I had playoff teams that I would watch in the playoffs because the Warriors were always out. So, same thing.
I grew up a huge Marino fan, so I kind of followed Miami.
Yeah, no, Marino is
I
amazing.
read today that they're going to be trying to dive in on the Saquon Barkley free agency.
The Dolphins are.
Yeah,
Ah, well, that would be.
that
I
would
mean,
be right up Mike
you give Mike
McDaniel.
McDaniel Saquon Barkley.
That'd be
That's
right
going to
up
be
his alley.
trouble. That'll be bad news for the Patriots. So that you'll probably like that then, I guess.
Who would
That's
you
bad news
keep?
for
Who
everybody,
would you
though.
try and keep them? Starter Wilson.
I think you'd try. I think you'd try and keep all three because Mostert and Wilson have injury issues, and Wilson should be, even though he played pretty well this year, I think he'd still be pretty cheap. And I don't know what Mostert's deal is, but I assume he's signed for next season. So
I don't know if they like playing for McDaniels again or not. I haven't read anything. I haven't done anything on Miami since they've exited the playoffs.
I mean, it just depends on if Tua can really come back. I don't know. It seems like that might be, or even if he does come back, if he gets another concussion, then that could be, it for him. I can't imagine.
Have you started looking forward to the draft yet, or are you just still focusing on our season?
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. It's just a little tougher with our position because we don't have a first, we don't have a second, we don't have a third. We got a gang of comp thirds, and I think
Didn't we get a
11 total
third back
picks.
from the Wilson trade?
Fifth.
We got a
from
fifth back
Wilson.
because of where they finished, or
But because of Rand Carthon going to the Tennessee Titans, we got 2 more comp thirds for. Well, it'll be one this in 2023 and one in 2024. And then assumably D'Amico Ryans would get us a couple more comp thirds too. So we might end up with 12 draft picks. So it'll be interesting, you can still scout the first and second and third round players though, because when you get 12 picks like that, there's a high likelihood that we'll package some and move up. So it's not like you want to ignore everything in the first and second round because we just don't know exactly where we are, which makes it tougher. Because in the mock draft, you always want to know kind of roughly where you're aiming to see who's just before you and who's just after, and
I can't see them. I can't see them re-signing Garoppolo, so that's going to be huge savings and be able to put something into something.
Yeah, and then he should get us a comp pick in 2024 too. If he gets like 15 or 20 mil, seems like about right for him.
So
maybe from the Jets or something.
The Jets, I saw, like everyone on Twitter today was trying to package the house to get Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I saw that. Jets, Raiders, Colts. I even saw the Cowboys. Or the Cowboys. Skip Bayless was saying trade Dak for Aaron Rodgers. I just don't know why the Packers would do that. I think you just go with Aaron. Is it Aaron Love? What's Love's name? Jordan Love. I just think you roll with him at that point.
I don't know. This is going to be a very interesting offseason. Got Derek Carr probably on the move. Garoppolo will definitely end up somewhere else. The Lamar Jackson sweepstakes. Will he stay in Baltimore? Will he leave? Will he go?
I think getting rid of Greg Roman helps him to stay. I don't think he would stay if it was still Greg Roman calling the plays for them.
I just don't understand why Baltimore would even want him back. I mean, I understand he's good. That's pretty much all they have. But after this year, like he probably could have played against the Bengals.
I just think they need to get him some weapons. I mean, you can't have Rashad Bateman as your best and only wide receiver. They got Andrews. They got Mark Andrews. He's really good. But, I mean, the rest of their receivers are
trash.
Pretty weak, yeah.
Sammy Watkins, Porsche, right?
Yeah.
Duvernay.
He's all right. I mean, he's fast, but he's not very big. And I don't think he's very quick,
Right.
He's got top end speed, but I don't think he's got that blazing acceleration, the quick, side to side lateral movement.
Gotcha. Well, Ted, what are you thinking for the game on Sunday? What do you think?
I've been sort of kicking around like 27-24 Niners. I think that we'll have more success running on the Eagles than we did on Dallas. I think even though the Eagles are better, I don't think their team defense is as fast as the Cowboys was. So I think we'll have some, as good as Darius Slay and Bradbury are. I mean, Ayuk is such a filthy route runner. I think Ayuk will get open. I think that number 6 against tight ends, like I said, that's average tight ends. So I bet they're more like number 15 or something, maybe against Kittle, more average. And so I think Kittle will get some. I think CMC will hurt them a lot out of the backfield. I think Debo will too, catching out of the backfield. And I think Brock Purdy will keep doing what he does, which is just not make big mistakes, make some nice throws downfield. He's not going to throw it deep. He's not going to hit you for a 50-yarder. But those 15, 20, 25 yarders and a bunch of yak, I can see it. So, I mean, like I said, I think it'll be a close game, and in a close game, anything can happen. And I think I've said repeatedly, no shame in losing to the Eagles and no shame in them losing to us. But I do think we'll win. I think also something that gets overlooked is that, the Niners, we've been to those 3 NFC championship games in the last 4 seasons.
Right.
And really, I think we had the squad to do it in 2020. We just had all those injuries. So, the Eagles, on the other hand, have won one playoff game in the last 4 seasons. So the last time they won a playoff game before this was 2018, and that was the year after the Super Bowl. So their coach hasn't won much in the playoffs. Sirianni. Hurts has just won that one, and it was against the Giants. So coach, QB, and a lot of the players. Now they do have some players left over from that Super Bowl team. They do. They have a handful, and like Ndamukong Suh won a Super Bowl. But
Right.
with the Bucks. But ultimately, I don't know. You know what it may come down to? I was like kind of try and pick one player, and like here's the deal, like. If Lane Johnson plays the whole game and he's effective the whole game at right tackle, maybe the Eagles do beat us, right? And if he doesn't play the whole game, or if he's not real effective, he did a good job against Thibodeau, but that guy's a rookie. I think it's different when you go against Bosa and our defensive ends, even without Omenahu. We still have Ebukam, we still have Jordan Willis. So maybe that's my deciding factor, is if Lane Johnson plays really well, then the Eagles could win. If not, then I think the Niners win.
I think.
But ultimately, all things equal, I'm just going to say 27-24 Niners.
I think the defense gets back on track this week. I don't think there's going to be any more headlines of D'Amico Ryan getting interviews and keeping him sidetracked this week. At least there shouldn't be. I mean, that seemed to be a little bit of a factor too. I think,
but to be fair, they were talking to Dan Quinn last week too, so it was both.
Dan Quinn got a second interview with the Cardinals today. I did see that.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of even in that respect.
Right, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem. I mean, 2 interviews on game day. It just didn't make any sense.
It was the day before the game. It was
D'Amico Ryans had 2 on the day of the game, didn't they? On Sunday with the Colts and
so.
the.
I thought it was 2 on Saturday. He had 4 scheduled Saturday. He did 2, and then he canceled the second 2. Is what I thought I read.
I thought he did 2 on Sunday morning.
Maybe I missed that one.
I think it's going to be 35-24 Niners.
So a good thumping then. I mean, not that close. Over 11 points.
I'm thinking late turnover for a touchdown. I'm thinking the defense gets one to end it, to seal it.
Close game that looks more lopsided at the end. Okay, interesting.
That's the way I'm looking at it.
I think we'll go down early, and I think we'll come back and win it late. That's what I think.
I wanted to shut this down before the wife comes banging on the door. I have a feeling that's coming.
Probably, yeah. We've been a little over an hour, so, not quite, not since we started.
54. We went longer than expected, though.
But we were late starting. I was ready at 5.
Right.
Some was a little late getting home.
I got late because I got stuck in line at Wendy's.
Hey, that's important. You got to have your hydration, man.
Well, I got a meal too, but anyway, I ate that on the way home.
Attaboy.
Well, Ted, we're gonna do it again. And we'll try and work it out where we can get earlier in the day and not be rushed. Maybe when we get the whole gang in here. I know Mark's sick and he's eventually going to get better. I know he's typing away on the Twitter. I did see him active all day typing. But his voice is not there. That's why he's not here right now.
Yeah, and my voice may get bad here. The people we had up with us in Tahoe, both their kids were sick. My son has a runny nose. I was starting to feel a little cough coming on today, so
make sure you get that zinc here, and make sure you have the wife pick up the Vicks Vapor Rub at the store and the Dayquil and the NyQuil. Got to get better, buddy. You got to fight it.
Little love nip there, huh?
Yeah.
I guess so. You got the knock before I did. It looks like.
Well, she was bringing her toy over, and it fell, and she didn't see it, and she went to grab it, and fucking bit my leg.
Ooh. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Sir. No, thank you, Ted. Thank you for giving me the time today, because we never seem to have it in the ball.
It's brutal. It's real. I mean. It's tough if you don't work from home. So I hear you 100%, and I'll look forward to catching up with you soon.
And I hope one day we get me, you, Mark, Melissa, and Paul on here, and whoever else wants to join in. I love the round tables. That's my thing. I love the round tables.
Yeah, no, we'll get it going. I'm sure.
So we'll definitely work it out. And I don't have an ending for this one.
Well, and I'm more of a one-on-one guy anyway, so this is
Are you?
good. Oh
All
yeah,
right.
definitely. Well,
Gotcha.
it's just it's just I find on the round tables that you're kind of sitting there a lot of times waiting to talk, and so I don't mind doing them. And that's how I got my start, was in some round tables.
Right.
But definitely the one-on-one, I feel like gets you a little more airtime. So I
I
enjoy
like
that.
it too. I like the one-on-one, but I also like having the different approaches that people's ideas and everything else getting thrown at you. So, well, Ted, I thank you for staying, and I'm glad the wife let you hang out with me for a little bit here. Um, but hey, man, get out there, get the kid. Remember, tell the wife to get you some fix and all that stuff. Fight this thing early, man. Get it going.
Will do. Thanks, Adam.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you.
Cheers.